to episode 2 of Armoring for Cosplay. In the first episode, we talked about how to hit things with hammers well. Today, we're going to talk about hammers. When you get into armoring, there's sort of the idea that you're going to need a lot of tools, that there's a big overhead. And admittedly, after a decade of doing this, I have a ridiculous stockpile of tools. I have all sorts of custom gear and dozens of hammers and weird snips and pliers and stakes and anvils. But to get started, you really don't need any of that. You only need a really small set of tools. And I'm going to try to do this project using only those starter tools, just to show you that it is possible and it's not that hard. So what I've collected is sort of the bare minimums of what you're going to need to get started. And I'm going to start with your key hammer. So this is going to be the first hammer you're going to want to get. And this is an auto body hammer. There are several kinds of auto body hammers, and the kind you're looking for is one with a gently domed face. You're going to use this for dishing your metal. That'll put in that big sweeping curve you're looking for to sink things into your shoulder and the elbow piece we're going to make, and put any other gentle curves and dish-shaped things into your armor. You're also going to want a rubber mallet. And there's lots of options for rubber mallets. I like this one because they're one with two solid rubber faces, because you can shape one if you need to with a file. You're going to need a rubber mallet to bend your metal. The nice thing about rubber is it doesn't mark the metal. Every time you hit your metal with a metal hammer, it's going to scuff it and scar it. The rubber mallet is very soft, so it's not going to impact the surface of your metal. So you can hit it and bash it around and bend it with this without worrying about scarring. So you're also going to want something to cut your metal. And I recommend aviation snips. So these look like scissors, but they have an extra levering mechanism in them that give them some mechanical advantage. So you squeeze and you get more force out of the snips than you do putting in, which is great. They also have slightly serrated edges, which helps cut through the metal, but it does leave a bit of a jagged edge. Which leads to the next tool, a file. So get yourself a metal file. I suggest one with a semicircular profile. The nice thing about having a round edge and a flat edge is you can file two different kinds of surfaces. So if you have an exterior curve, you can use your flat edge on it. If you're trying to get inside a cutout, you can use the round edge on it, as long as the cutout has a bigger radius than the round edge. Finally, you're going to need something to make holes with. So I have a drill here, and if you have a power drill, that's great, but drills don't actually work that well on sheet metals. They tend to grab the metal as they punch through and twist it and sometimes spin it and cut up your hands, which is bad, so clamp your metal really well if you're drilling holes. But also it tends to make the holes not quite circular. So if you have the extra money, or you don't already have a power drill, another option is these guys. And this is a metal hole punch. You can usually get them for a lot less than a power drill. They can be a bit hard to find because they're something of a specialty tool. But they tend to come with a set of several dies for different sized holes, and you just swap them out. And these are great for punching holes in sheet metal. It's exactly what they're meant for. There is a little limitation on them, though, is that they have a throat. So you can only cut into sheet metal that far. So if you have to have a hole any more than about 2 inches in, they don't work. Most of what you're going to do, though, is going to be in that 2 inch, because all the holes are for strapping and hinges that are quite close to the edge of the metal. So these are usually great, and a better choice than buying a full new power drill if you don't have one. So there you go. That's all the tools you really need to get going armoring. I'm probably going to use a couple others as I go through the process, but those are going to be for things like rivets and strapping and working with leather and materials you don't necessarily need to use, and that you have other options for. And I'm going to try to talk about those options as we go, so you can see what you already have and work with that. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the materials you're going to work with. So see you then!